Which would you rather be, a winner or a competitor? The answer will surprise you. Hey, what's up? It's Cletus Coffey, the founder of Recovering Athlete Coaching and Training. And I tell you, this might be one of the biggest issues I find with former athletes is the confusion over being a competitor versus being a winner. And ultimately, I believe it's one of the biggest hurdles that sports has put in your way. Now, why is this important? Because what's happening is the confusion between competing and being a competitor and being a winner is affecting the way in which former athletes show up in their relationships, show up in their careers and their businesses, and how they compete, and ultimately the results that they get. So if you're not getting the results that you want in your business, in your life, in any capacity, there's a good chance that you may have some confusion really around being a competitor and being a winner. Now, let me give you a little bit of backstory to help you understand why there's a hurdle in your way. As an athlete, you probably, like me, were taught to win. I mean, that's what sports is. And you'd be surprised how many, not just athletes, but people focus on the scoreboard. That's the measurement tool. That's the thing by which we are judged by, and that is the scoreboard. Did we win? Did we lose? And here's where it started. Way back when you were a youth athlete, maybe a high school athlete, what's the first question you were asked by a family member the minute you walked in the door after a game, a race, any type of match or competition? What's the first question they asked you? Did you win? Or how'd you do? Which is kind of a covert, under the radar question around, hey, to find out, did you win or did you lose? So that means very early on, you were conditioned to believe that when you step in the door, those that loved you the most, and we're trying to do good, or they really were, but we're doing it in a way that had you ultimately putting your focus on the scoreboard, putting your self-worth on the scoreboard. Because what happens? When you came home and said, we won, they rejoiced. Oh, that's so great. Wonderful. Congratulations. We lost. Oh, gosh, what happened? What went wrong? It was so-and-so's fault. Or I'm not very good. I didn't. So we end up attaching our worth, our confidence onto this scoreboard. So whether we won or not. And that just continued to grow, and it continues to happen in life as a former athlete. Think about it. When the last time you maybe were at a neighborhood gathering, or maybe you saw a friend of yours, and in conversation you were talking about a mutual friend or maybe a neighbor, and that individual you're talking to said, oh, so-and-so was really successful. What are they referring to? Money, cars, house, vacations, those types of things. You know it to be true. You've probably done it yourself unconsciously. I know I have. And so it started as a young athlete. And then as we get older and we're in life after sports, it's the same old condition that we view people as whether they're successful or not based on their results. So you have been conditioned through sports to believe that your worth and your success is wrapped up in the scoreboard. This is a problem. And because when our worth, our self-worth, and our success is wrapped up in the scoreboard, it brings on greater anxiety, stress, pressure, overwhelm, depression. Because if we're not getting the results that we want, we're fearful of being judged. We're fearful of not being good enough. We feel weak. We're embarrassed. We're not good enough. I mean, it happens all the time. Think of professional teams that don't meet their expectations, or Olympians who go on to the Olympics and were supposed to win a certain amount of medals and didn't win them. The expectations were there. The pressure were there. The stress was there. And they didn't achieve the results. What's wrong with me? Gosh, I'm not good enough. I failed. And that is the wrong thing to be focused on. Wrong thing to be thinking of. That's not the case. So we want to flip it from winning Because ultimately, we can't control whether we win or not. Yes, you heard that right. You cannot control winning. You could go out there, have the best race of your life by far, the best game of your life by far, and you lose. If you just ran up against someone else who was just a little bit better than you that day. It happens. It happens to the best of us. So knowing that there's always going to be someone bigger, faster, stronger, smarter, has different talents than you do. That's life. And so when we compare ourselves to others, we're doing ourselves a huge disservice. So we cannot focus on winning because we can't control it. What can we control? Our attitude, our effort, and our response. So let's focus on effort. Being a competitor. So if I can go into a game and compete, regardless of if I won or not, the best question to ask is, did I get better? Or where did I get better? So that would have been a better question for your family when you were a young athlete, when you walked in the door, rather than how'd you do? Better question would be, where'd you get better today? That's growth. That's a growth mindset. That's where we look at the opportunities for growth. Otherwise, when we're so focused on the scoreboard, we shut down and we don't even see the areas for growth. And we go straight to, if we lost, we go straight to the negative. It didn't work. And if we win, what do we got to look at? It doesn't matter. We're winning. So as it relates to life after sports, you can control being a competitor and showing up in every situation, every conversation, every negotiation, every sales call, every interview that you do, showing up as a competitor, focusing on how can I get better in this interview? How can I get better in this sales call, in this negotiation, in this relationship? Where can I get better? We're so focused on the end result. And when the end result isn't what we want, it's shut down city. What's wrong with me? I'm not good enough. Stress, anxiety. What can I do to get better on this? Be a competitor to compete against yourself. You notice I didn't say competing against someone else. It's not you competing with another individual. It's you against you. So it is, in my opinion, better to be a competitor than a winner because you can control being competing. Now, if you can show up and compete doing your very best, giving your best effort, focus on where you can get better and growing and picking yourself back up from failures and learning and getting better, the results are going to take care of themselves. You're going to get what you want on the scoreboard. And it's going to feel better with less pressure, less stress and anxiety. Go be a competitor, my friends, and use that competitiveness that you have to make a greater impact in life than you ever did in sports. Go compete.